Hi everybody, this is Devin from 2-Bit Animation, and this is the second episode of Speculating Fiction.
Speculating Fiction.
Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker. And before all of the trailers came out and posters and everything else, my original thought was, why not just start episode 9 right after episode 8? You know, when they're all in the Falcon, leaving the red planet, flying out, and Rey notices, hey, we're out of gas, because that's a thing now. And so they are trying to figure out where they can get gas, and then Finn points out that everybody's running around like crazy in the Star Destroyer, so they could probably sneak in and get gas there. And so they do. And while they're there, Poe's like, hey, I've got this idea. If I'm not back by the time you guys are done fueling, leave without me. And so he runs away, they start fueling, and then people notice that they're there and start shooting at them. There's this big shootout. They get done fueling up and start to take off, and Poe comes running back and being like, hey, let's go, let's get out of here. And so they get in the Millennium Falcon and shoot out, and they get a good distance and then look back and see the Star Destroyer go in light speed into the middle of nowhere. And then it cuts to the red planet where Kylo Ren and all the other guys are sitting there, General Hux and everybody just watching the streak across the sky and realizing they're stuck on a planet. That's probably not what's going to happen, but no, just looking at this, like, there's a whole lot of things that kind of need to come together. There's a lot of character arcs. There's a lot of plot that needs to kind of be pulled together. There's a lot of strands that they kind of started that they need to, tie in a little nice bow at the end. But, the biggest one is Rey. And if you look at Rey, she's always been kind of trying to prove herself. She's been trying to prove herself to being somebody that's worth being part of the rebellion, or being part of the mission that she's on. She doesn't really have the self-esteem that she kind of needs. She kind of got that in episode 8, where she's starting to appreciate that she has abilities, and she's starting to have a little bit more confidence in herself. But even then, she's still kind of trying to please. She everything she's doing, she's kind of trying to please everybody else, and still doesn't know really her part in everything. So really, just as far as her arc needs to go, she needs to kind of understand herself and understand who she is, and part of that might be who her parents are, or if that matters. Even though they said they don't, people still aren't buying that. But I really don't want her to be the daughter of the Force again, and how people are speculating that Emperor Palpatine manipulated the Force for her too. Backstories. The thing is that Emperor Palpatine manipulated the Force so that Darth Vader could be born by the Force, and so they think that they did with Rey too. I really don't want that to happen. I don't know that it matters about her parents. She just kind of needs to know that she does have a purpose in this battle, that and that she has something to offer. But I think that as far as she goes, she kind of needs to understand that first off, and then Emperor Palpatine's going to be in there somehow. I think that he's going to try and tempt her to do something. That's what he does. He tries to get people to join the dark side, do something stupid and then feel bad about it and make bad decisions. And so I think it's going to be something along those lines. I don't know how, Space Force Ghost, whatever. But I think she's going to, that she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. But then the real test is going to be when the good side, that Princess Leia might give her the, make her empress or president of the universe, whatever. Her and the other leaders and stuff. Or, somehow where they just, okay, you're going to be in charge, you're going to have a ton of power, or you're going to be on the Senate, or you're going to be something. And I think she turns that down. I think she realizes that she doesn't want the power, and the universe doesn't need her in that position. And really what the universe needs, and either she figures this out, or maybe that's something that Finn and Poe or Rose can do, because they're probably not going to have much for them to do. But that they can figure out how to, keep a balance that has nothing to do with the Force, but just have different opinions. Because what's not worked before is where you have a whole bunch of people that think the same way, and so in the background you have these bad guys trying to figure out how to rise up against it, or you have a bunch of bad guys that are all thinking the same way, and you have a bunch of good guys that are in the background kind of under the table trying to rise up against it. And so there's always this conflict, there's always this big huge commotion between two different sides. And so I think that the way to fix Star Wars, to fix the whole government thing, is just to have a whole bunch of different minds that all have very little power, give a lot of power back to the people, give a lot of power to just kind of spread it out, so no one in particular group has the power, and that way everybody can be kept in check. Checks and balances. That's America. But I think that's one of the things that Rey might get tested on. So she'll get tested trying to. Emperor Palpatine will kind of say that he's trying to get her to go to the dark side of the Force, but really he might just be trying to get her to want power, or want Kylo, or want to break some kind of rule or justify something. Because if you look at Emperor Palpatine, he's been a little bit different with how he how he persuaded the different people that he's done with. With Anakin, he's tried to jump in on his love for Amidala, that he was trying to capitalize on his fear that she might die, and with Luke, he's trying to capitalize on his heroism, that strike me down, you'll be a hero. But with Rey, I think he needs to treat her a little bit. He's going to try and treat her a little bit different, and try and kind of trick her into thinking that she has won, and that she's this important person, and deserves the power, and kind of trick it in that way, so that the conflict can keep going and the wars can keep going on forever. So that's Rey. With Kylo, he needs to pick a lane. Right now he's been kind of not very successful at being bad. He's not very successful at being good. He's kind of been wobbly, and he's kind of going towards power. The more power, the better. And I think it's gonna turn around and bite him. But so either he's going to hit rock bottom, and maybe General Hux kind of frames him or betrays him in some way, and kind of pins everything on him, so that he loses all his authority and everything. gets seen as a joke again, and that would kind of ruin him, as a person not to be feared or a person not to be respected. So either he hits rock bottom that way, and then kind of sees the value in a change in Rey, in the light side of the Force, or he rises up to power. He's very successful, and nothing else is stopping him in his mind, and he completely gets consumed with that power until Rey has to defeat him, or or he ends up doing something to die himself. So either one of those arcs, either he's kind of rising in power but at the same time going down this slippery slope, or he's gonna hit rock bottom and have a reason to change, have a reason to kind of rethink everything, or hit rock bottom emotionally. If he sees his mom die because one of his men shot her or something, that he realizes, like, what am I doing? This is all a whole bunch of wrong decisions. So one of those two things need to happen for him. He can't keep going in the middle ground. He can't keep pretending to be a bad guy or pretending to be a good guy and not really, picking either one. But yeah, he has to go through that. But Finn and Rose and Poe, we'll throw him in there. I don't think there's going to be a lot that they have him to do. Something that Disney kind of struggles with is when they have a whole bunch of people that aren't the Avengers. They don't really know how to deal with the B stories and stuff. I saw this in Frozen 2, where they didn't really know what to do with Kristoff. They didn't really know what to do with Olaf very much, and so they just kind of had these one-trick things that they would do throughout the whole movie. And that's kind of how The Last Jedi was with Poe, or with Finn and Poe. Poe was just spending the whole time trying to figure out what's going on the ship because nobody would tell him because movie. And Finn spent the whole time trying to get something that ultimately didn't have anything to do with anything, if I remember correctly. They just traveled across the world, across the universe for really no reason. But he got to know Rose, so. But I think it's going to be something along those lines again. I would like that to not happen. I would like them to have a good mission, like a good side mission. I can't see them kind of joining the main thing with Rey and Kylo. But if they had a good side mission, I mean, like the original trilogy, there was different things going on, but they all, had importance in the story. They all kind of crossed paths and made the whole story more complete because of it. It wasn't just you guys do your thing and then you guys, we don't care what you do. And that's kind of how it's been. But so what I would think is, if they're trying to get a school going of Force sensitive kids, they're trying to find them so that when the government comes back that they can start everything up again. That's sent out by Rey on a mission. Or probably what's going to happen is there's going to be some device that they have to go get ready for when everything's set in motion, that they can detonate it or whatever. Like that's kind of been the last few movies, and really a couple in the original trilogy, but that's probably what's going to happen. There's going to be this really important thing that that should take like 10 seconds, but then everything goes wrong and they just have to flip a switch, and they do it just in the nick of time. But what I'd really like for them is to kind of expand in what's happening in the story. Either, since Emperor Palpatine's going to be in it, we figured that that they're actively trying to figure out how he came back to life and or how to stop him, and just trying to go through different things. And this would be a really fun way to kind of show a lot of the different deep dive stuff in Star Wars, but kind of just keeping it shallow and not jumping into it. There's an opportunity for tons of references from the comics and the TV shows and all that stuff. So it could be really fun, but for them to just kind of figure out what's going on, how this works, how, who Darth Plagueis is, all of that stuff, and try and figure out how to make this all work while Rey and Kylo kind of do their main thing of, probably battling each other and then trying to actually fight Emperor Palpatine, and and at the end kind of all come together, and with the knowledge that Poe and Finn and Rose have, and what Rey and Kylo figured out, that they can all figure it out together. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I would love to see some of the characters that were kind of presented in the Force Awakens, and then kind of on the back seat in the second one. I would love to see them kind of come back and have a part. The one, Lupita Nyong'o, if I'm saying her name right, that character that I can't remember her name. But it was a really cool character and kind of cool, and she had like 10 seconds in Last Jedi. But things like that. Warwick Davis is coming back apparently, that which would be kind of awesome to see a little bit into just some of the different planets, different worlds, and hopefully if what I'm talking about happens with the everybody coming together and trying to figure out how to make the government work and kind of spreading the power throughout it, it'd be really cool to see all these different alien races and stuff come together that you've seen in different Star Wars iterations, and kind of come together and make it work. But that would be really cool. But okay, high stakes time. So I'm going to submit that Kylo hits rock bottom somehow. General Hux does something to try and gain power. Kylo Ren either loses the faith of his followers, or gets double crossed, hits rock bottom, and kind of feels the hurt for a little bit, and kind of changes sides, but then through seeing Rey and all that stuff, that he actually kind of changes his heart and becomes the good guy. And I submit that Rey is going to be offered some high position in the government and turns it down, and that maybe Rose might be somebody that would be in the Senate or something, but somebody we know, Finn or Rose or both of them, or the Lupita Nyong'o character that they would kind of figure that part out and kind of have it be a system of government that's a little bit more spread out and less of an empire. Let's see, I submit that... Oh, we haven't even talked about C-3PO. So there's a part in the trailer, the C-3PO's kind of shorting out and kind of forgetting everything. My guess is that he kind of sacrificed himself to do something, and is kind of getting the consequences from it. But what would be really cool to see from that is that because he sacrificed himself and he's kind of getting the memory loss, that the other memory wipe kind of goes away. The memory wipe between the prequels and the original trilogy kind of goes away, and he remembers everything. And then that's the key to defeating the Emperor Palpatine, that he kind of remembers stuff back with Anakin. He remembers things that his mind had been wiped from and stuff, and then that's the kind of the turning point. But yeah, that's about it. I don't know. I'm really excited about this movie. I'm really excited for the close of this whole nonology, as I say it. But it looks exciting. It looks really, really awesome. There's a whole lot of fan service, I'm sure, but it should be a lot of fun, and hopefully we can kind of get that wrangled down to a good story. There's a lot of characters that they're going to have to kind of work with, and hopefully they don't just leave anybody in the background, because I love all the characters in there. They're so different and diverse, and there's a lot of really cool fighters. There's a lot of really cool snarky people in there and stuff. So I hope they don't leave anybody out. I hope they find a place for all of them and find a way to kind of work everything in. I think it's going to be a pretty complicated timeline. I think it's going to be kind of a lot. It kind of deserves an endgame size thing, but I don't know. Hopefully it's not 3 hours. But it's probably going to be just a lot thrown in there, and just a lot to process, a lot to get through. So I'm excited. But I'll see you guys on the other side. Let me know how well I did on this list, how close I am after you guys see the movie, and we'll see what happens. But thank you guys. Have a good night. We'll see you.